All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming out to Football Fridays at the ECK as we get ready to watch the Irish start off the season 2-0 tomorrow. Our first catching up with guest today was a standout wide receiver on the football field here at Notre Dame. He was a standout student in the classroom, and he was the student body president of Notre Dame. Please welcome Corey Robinson.
Hi, everybody. Every time I go on stage with Kevin, I always pay him to say that. So you're very, very kind. Good to be back on campus.
Corey, you grew up in San Antonio, obviously. Your father, one of the great NBA players of all time and a star with the Spurs. But you ended up playing football, not basketball. How did that come to be?
You know, it's really simple. When you're 7'1", basketball comes pretty easy. You know, so I was only 6'4", which in the basketball world is really short. And I just never had any opportunities. It was either junior college basketball or Notre Dame football. And I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I could make that decision.
Well, it didn't have to be Notre Dame football. You obviously were a great high school football player. You had many options for where you could have gone on to college for your studies and to play football. What made you choose Notre Dame?
I mean, it's a really special place. The first time I came here, I remember I was with Malik Zaire and Steve Elmer and all those guys back as a junior. And it was a wintry mixed day. It was really, really cold. But I was from South Texas, so I had my parka on. And I was walking around watching like Everett Golson and Tommy Rees throw, and Malik put his arm around me and said, hey, one of these days it'll be Zaire to Robinson, right? And I could hear the crowd go crazy. And I was thinking, like, that actually wouldn't be too bad. And I remember walking around campus and seeing the Newt Rockne statue, going in the stadium and being swept by the tradition of it all, and saying this is a really special place I would love to spend my life pursuing. So I immediately told my dad I want to commit. And then he said, no, let's think about it. Don't just commit right off the bat. You've only been to one school, and I knew it was from the moment I stepped on campus, I knew it was the place I wanted to be.
When you first got here and started practicing with the team, reports started coming out from the reporters who were at practice that this freshman Robinson was making a series of incredible acrobatic catches along the sideline in practice. That turned out to be the case when we got to watch you on Saturdays. You really had a knack for making those kind of diving, twisting catches. Where did that ability come from?
I don't have no idea, to be completely honest. I think that's probably back to the basketball, maybe being on my feet, being able to go get the ball in the air. But I think you have to find a niche for yourself. I wasn't as fast as Will Fuller. And not many people are. So I wasn't as fast as Will. I couldn't jump as high as DeVaris or anything like that, but I had a really good ball control. So thankfully, my quarterbacks always put it in a place that only I could get it. So I was just super fortunate to have quarterbacks like Everett, Tommy, Malik, DK, guys who just put it right on the money every time.
You played right away as a freshman your freshman year, and in the Air Force game, you scored your first collegiate touchdown. It was an exciting one, a 35-yard touchdown. What was that moment like for you, scoring your first touchdown in college football?
It's surreal. I mean, you grow up, especially in South Texas, where the big schools are A&M, Texas, obviously USC, Notre Dame, Michigan. You grow up watching these games on TV. You grow up practicing your end zone dance. I remember when I first scored my first touchdown, I didn't know what to do, so I was just kind of wandering around with the ball. I was like, what do I do? I practiced for so long, and now I actually got here. I don't know what to do. It was amazing, and I remember Will Fuller came up to me. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. He was the other freshman guy that we got to play a lot, so it was a really special moment. My whole family was there because of the whole Air Force connection, so my uncle served in the Air Force, so we all got to go out there afterwards. It was incredible.
Did you refine your touchdown dance routine over time, or?
No, I'm a boring player. I didn't have any, swag on the field. I didn't wear any of the bands. I didn't have any cool tattoos. I was the boring, I was the boring guy.
Your sophomore season certainly wasn't boring. You really broke out your second year here on campus and became a fixture in the Notre Dame passing game. And I think the game that so many people particularly remember your performances against Florida State in that huge game at Florida State when two top 5 teams. You scored 2 touchdowns in the first half, and then you scored a third touchdown that should have sealed a victory for the Irish, but if not for some questionable calls by the referees calling the touchdown back in the last seconds of that game. Are you still angry with those referees when you think back to that Florida State game?
No, the worst part about the Florida State game was that we had, I think, 3 or 4 different chances to win, all in the last drive. So, I mean, the call is the call. You can't complain about that. That's spilled milk. But the play afterwards, we could have scored again. The play before that, we could have scored. And then the play before that, there was another chance to score. So I think about all the other things, the little things along the way, Like, to me, it wasn't the call. I missed one ball. There was a fade route on the corner, and it was like It was a doable catch. Obviously, it was difficult, but I could have got it. And the guy made an incredible defensive play. And I was thinking to myself, oh, I just lost the game. And then the next play, it was a little off on the throw to CJ. And then I was like, dang it, we could have won it again. Then that play, I was like, thank God we won. And then they called it back, and I was like, let's do it again. The fourth play, I beat my guy on the corner route, and then, it just didn't work out for whatever reason, and then we ended up losing. So that was a heartbreaking series, but I don't think it was the call. We could have done many other things to win that game.
Was that the most intense environment you played in during your 3 years as a player here?
Yeah, I would probably rank it with Clemson. Death Valley game day was pretty incredible. Florida State, but my all-time favorite was at Michigan at the Big House. Obviously, Notre Dame home games are the best because you guys are the best fans in the country. But as far as away games, playing at the Big House my freshman year, I had my first catch under the lights, 115,000 people. It was the largest game in college football at that time. So that was like a really good welcome call. That was like welcome to college football. So that was a lot of fun.
One of the other most memorable moments of your career on the field had to come in your junior year against USC here at night. It was a tight game, and in the fourth quarter with the game tied, you scored one of your patented acrobatic catches in the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. What did that mean to you to be able to be the person who, in that great rivalry, caught the winning touchdown pass?
It was amazing. I think that catch means a lot to me because that season, my junior year, I was really struggling, and I was trying to find my groove. And for whatever reason, just wasn't clicking. It was like a little off the whole time. But my team never gave up on me. They never gave up confidence in me, and they kept throwing me the ball. They kept telling me, keep running your routes, you're going to make a big play for us. Just keep doing it. And then when Coach called my number and said, look, we need you to win this game, do your thing. I will never forget. Those guys had the confidence. They said, Corey, go do your thing. We have all the belief in you, and that once again meant the world to me. And then I got the play, and then all the guys like Breezy was like, I told you, man, I told you, you're back, and that was it. So that was one of my favorite moments in college football, especially against USC. Absolutely, that was a special touchdown.
How did you deal with that overall that year, where you had such a great year your sophomore year, and maybe you weren't playing up to your own expectations the next season? How did you kind of mentally navigate that?
Yeah, it was hard. You're a 20-year-old kid. And everyone you love on social media. So after the Florida State game, that was the best game I ever had in college, on College Game Day, top 5 matchup. And then, everyone's like, oh, you're a first-round draft pick. All your friends are, tweeting at you. Your heroes are tweeting at you. You got, people you'd never think knew you existed, like Floyd Mayweather saying, hey, man, great job. It was just crazy. It was a crazy thing. And then a year later, exactly on that same date, you have one of the worst games of your life at Clemson on College Game Day. And then everyone says you're off every draft board. What are you doing? You don't deserve to be playing for Notre Dame. And I think you understand, it doesn't. All that extra stuff is just noise. I have to focus on my game. I have to focus on what's important and my team that believes in me. And that was kind of the mental process that I had to go through. And like I said, my team made the difference for me. They were my rock, and all those guys, Breezy, Torrey, Will, all those guys helped me get through it. So I wouldn't have been able to other for them.
Injuries caused you to walk away from being a football player after your junior year, but you remained with the program as a student coach. What was that experience like, going from being one of the players to now coaching your former teammates?
It's weird. But yeah, it's very strange. And it's the funniest part about it is you forget how hard it is to actually run routes. When you were running, basically when you're running routes, the coach is like, just run it again. You're like, Coach, I just ran a 60-yard go. Can I get a drink of water? And then when you're a coach, you're literally out for 3 weeks, and you're like, guys, just keep running. What are you waiting for? Why are you tired? So it was a really funny experience for me, but I learned a ton being on the other side of the ball. And Coach Kelly was so gracious, allowing me to be back as a coach, and he would walk me through things. He'd say, hey, Corey, I want you to coach EQ on this route, during this drill 7-on-7. And then he'd be right behind me, watch me coach him, and then give me pointers. And he didn't have to do that as a head coach, And Coach Denbrock was so pivotal in my progression as I understood the game from a coach's perspective, understanding overall macro strategies versus just one half of the field or just the W routes. So it was an unbelievable experience as a kid. Coaching for Notre Dame, that's up there, So I got to do that, thankfully.
You were an outstanding student, as we said earlier, here at Notre Dame. You were an academic first-team All-American your sophomore year, which is extremely rare in college football. And you majored in the program of liberal studies, a great books program here at Notre Dame. So you're taking a very heavy course load. Can you explain to us What was your schedule like when you were, a standout player on the football team, taking a heavy course load, taking your academics so seriously? How hard was it to manage all of that as a student athlete?
Yeah, I think in hindsight it was pretty ridiculous, but when you're in it, you're so disciplined. You wake up every day and you understand, okay, these are my priorities. I have 8 a.m. lift, so I got to wake up at 6:30, make sure I eat something, go to lift, and then after that, I'm going to class from 10 to 3. Then I have to make sure I get treatment. Then I go to practice from 3 to 7:30. Then you get more treatment, and then after that you have your extracurriculars and you're studying. So then I'd go to clubs, and then I would do student government at night, until like 1 in the morning or midnight, and you just get used to that every day. And I think that the discipline that involves, obviously training in football carries over beautifully to the rest of life in classroom studies and diligence. And all those guys are so smart, they're so disciplined. So it's now I think about it, it was kind of hard in hindsight, but when you're in it, yeah, it just makes sense. You just do it.
Is there a class that stands out to you from your time here that was your favorite class at Notre Dame?
Definitely my opera class. I took a class on, yes, it's true. I had an entire semester where I was in acting class. I was reading all of Shakespeare through PLS, and I was doing an opera class. And it was like the most artsy semester of my life. All I did was just read great literature, act, great plays, and then watch great operas. And we went to Chicago to see Don Giovanni, Mozart's Don Giovanni, and ever since that night, I've been a huge opera fan. Now I live in New York, so I go to the Met Opera every week, and I just love it. It's become a lifelong passion.
Do you sing opera at all?
Are you going to ask me to sing opera?
Depends on what you say.
No, definitely not.
You, at the end of your junior year, became the first Notre Dame football player ever elected student body president here at Notre Dame. What was it that made you decide to take on that huge role and responsibility here on campus?
So I was an early enrollee, so I graduated high school in December, and I could have graduated college in 3 years due to all the summer courses we take. And I was, after the Ohio State game, at the Fiesta Bowl, I was thinking to myself, okay, I graduate this spring. I'm going to go do ACE and be a teacher for 2 years because my dad does a lot of stuff with education. I wanted to learn about what he was doing. But then I just felt, basically my spirit was a little troubled. I wanted to go back. I felt like something was undone on campus. I really wanted to come back and do something with the team. I wanted to come back and play my senior year, and I wanted to give more. I felt like I didn't give enough to Notre Dame, which gave me everything. So I decided to come back my senior year, and my vice president at the time, Becca Blaze, who ended up being student body president, she told me, Core, we should run. And I always told her, no, I'm not interested. But then it ended up being, I think, a great opportunity for me to exercise my platform and serve the students in the best way possible. So that's what kind of prompted me to run, and it was the most rewarding, challenging experience in my life. I remember it was during winter workouts, and me and Scott Daly and Deshaun Kaiser, we'd be going around knocking on doors. We'd lift in 6 in the morning, we'd do all that. I would do all this campaign stuff like upload the website, make the platform, do all the social media ads, all that crazy stuff you're doing. You're like posting and all that stuff. And then I would campaign from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. with those guys every night for 2 weeks. And you're walking around the snow, tired, sore, exhausted, after talking to 400 students about what you hope for the university. And you see the snow glitter on the dome, and you're like, this is what it's all about. We have to wake up in 4 hours to go run around and hit each other, but like this is literally what Notre Dame's about. It's about mind, body, and spirit, and that's what I loved about it. It was incredible.
When you look back on your year as student body president, what are you proudest of?
I think honestly, I'm proud of the people. I think the team that we assembled was better than any initiative that I could have ever done. They were brilliant. They came up with incredible, first they had incredible passion, they had incredible vision, and they had a great job executing that vision. And I thought the team by far was my best accomplishment. I couldn't have done half the things that they did.
You were, during your time on campus, you were beyond your football field and the classroom. You were kind of known for being a man of many talents and interests. And including some musical ones. And one,
Get me nervous. The opera question, now the music question.
One evening when Todd Rundgren was the artist in residence here at the time at Notre Dame, you went over to O'Rourke's for the Brian Kelly radio show and actually performed live on the ukulele with Todd. So we actually have a clip of that. So we're gonna watch it now.
Can everyone turn around? I think something's happening in the bookstore.
Fine, this crowd won't mind. the drum all day. Everybody now. I don't want to play, I just want to bang on the drum all day.
My 15 minutes of fame.
I think that might have also been the aforementioned Scott Daly there with you. When did you start playing the ukulele, and why the ukulele?
I spent a lot of time just around Hawaiian culture growing up for whatever reason. I love the island. I love Polynesian culture. So I remember watching, all like the Israel. I can never say his last name, Kamakaole. Like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So I used to watch all those videos growing up, and I always thought it was such an incredible instrument. So I just picked one up one day and taught myself over YouTube. And then, Todd was coming to campus, and he plays the ukulele. And then Ted Mandela at the film school said, hey, he plays ukulele, you guys should do something together. And I sent him a tape of me playing, and he's like, yeah, let's do it, man. So it was actually a really funny experience. But I just taught myself over YouTube when I was a kid.
You moved to New York City after you graduated from Notre Dame, and you now work at Sotheby's, the art auction house. What is your role there, and why did you decide to pursue that as a career?
Yeah, we have a fellow Sotheby's member over there, Carly Murphy, incredible Notre Dame grad, shout out. So I wanted to get into art because I've always been interested in philosophy and aesthetics, especially the philosophy of aesthetics. But I didn't know you could do that as a career. I always thought it was museum curator or bust. And I was never talented enough to be an artist, so I wanted to be around it, but I didn't want to actually go into museum work. So a mutual friend connected me to this gallerist in New York, and I just started asking the guy questions, and I fell in love with the world. He just opened an entire new world to me. It was all basically a lack of exposure on my part. And then once I got it, I got the bug for good. So then I moved to New York, I did this internship, and I met Carly, and then I just said, I gotta go work for Sotheby's, and now I'm working in business development. So my whole job is trying to disrupt the auction industry before someone else does. I think of ways to leverage technology to make our business more efficient, and I always think of new verticals. So it's very fun. I get to think outside the box and really kind of leverage my PLS background, where I studied opera, and I get to understand, okay, well, how does opera apply to this industry, or how does finance, or how does investment, or whatever else. And the best part about my job is I get to be around brilliant people who love art every day.
You also recently, I know, wrote your first screenplay. What is the movie about, and are you going to figure out a way to get it made?
Yes, I did do that. I wrote it because my junior year in college, I didn't want to do finals one year. So I was procrastinating, and I decided I was just going to write a movie. And for whatever reason, I did. So I finished it recently, and it's a romantic comedy. And it's just about a girl trying to figure it out. Basically, she tries to live her life as a sincere character, and everyone's forcing interpretations upon her life, and she has to make sense of it all. So it's just a romantic comedy. I pitched it to some producers. I'm going through some writing exercises with some Notre Dame alumni right now, so hopefully we'll get it produced someday. But it's a nice side project. It's just something I do for fun.
Nice. Well, we'll look forward to that. Corey, you're here. Part of the reason you're here this weekend is you're part of a new board formed by the Alumni Association, the Young ND Board. The group is put together to help guide the university and how it supports and programs for its most recent graduates. You're obviously a very busy guy. We're talking about all your new job and your interests. Why was it important to you? Why did you choose to give up so much of your time to give back to Notre Dame in this way?
Well, when Dolly came to me with the opportunity, I absolutely jumped at it. Notre Dame has once again given me everything. I love this university. I'll do anything for this university. So any opportunity I have to serve it I'll take it in a heartbeat. Particularly with young alumni, because I've had a lot of friends who've had their relationship with Notre Dame change. Right when you graduate, it's a little different. You don't know how to interact with it. Sometimes you just get lost and you don't have that connection anymore. Other people move to towns without any Notre Dame presence, and they're kind of just trying to figure out their community on a personal level, on a professional level. And then others had a terrible time here for whatever reason, and now they don't want to have anything to do with the university. So my job is to try to figure out ways to repair relationships, to revitalize relationships. And I think the board's going to do an incredible job of reigniting that passion and rebuilding those bridges for the alumni who don't know what to do anymore. They come back for campus, but that's about it. So we're trying to figure out ways to engage them in new ways, to talk to on their level and say, okay, how do you want to be community to? How can we help you as a university? Because we want to be here for you. We have these incredible resources. Just tell us, right? So that's kind of our main focus. And Molly Cronin, our chair, is incredible. Rebecca's here as well, I think, and Megan and the rest of the board. I mean, we have incredible people who are dedicated to serving our young alumni and making sure that they know that they're an important part of the Notre Dame community, whether you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, whether you're in San Francisco or Tokyo. We are Notre Dame, we are a Notre Dame family, and we're here for you.
Well, thanks for doing that. We're now going to take some questions from the audience for Corey. So if you got a question, raise your hand. I think we've got some folks here from the Alumni Association who have some microphones will be coming around. Don't be shy. Who's got a question? Otherwise, I'm going to start calling on people. Bill, you have a question?
No, I'm looking
Oh,
for
here.
mine. Hey, Corey, are you still a Spurs fan?
I bleed black and silver. Yes, absolutely. Are you from San Antonio, sir? Fantastic. Go Spurs, go. Yes, where you grew up. Great. Yeah, I'm absolutely still a Spurs fan. I'm the only guy in New York wearing a Tim Duncan jersey. Tony, now, unfortunately, right? Tony Parker left us, but he's still an incredible guy. I love Tony. But yeah, Spurs till I die. Absolutely.
Question over here.
Hi. What's the name of your screenplay?
It's called To Autumn.
To Autumn. Okay, we'll watch out for it.
Yeah. Hopefully, right? Hopefully.
Other questions for Corey? Who's got a question?
What's your take on the Michigan game from last week?
I think the guys look great. I'm very, very happy for them. Especially, once again, I can't speak on defense because I'm not going to act like I know anything about defense. But I'm being honest, right? I'm an offensive guy, and I think offensively. But I love the receivers right now. Like Miles is such a big target, and he's gotten so much more confident in his ability over the past few years. And you can see him really stepping up to the challenge. I've always been a huge fan of Chris Fink since he was a freshman. I was telling everyone, everyone on the team knew that he's the guy. Right? So I'm so happy that he got an unbelievable play. He's incredibly talented. Chase is a monster. The guy, he's unstoppable. All he needs to do is just have the confidence to go out. In the past 2 years, you've seen him really grow into himself. So from a receiver perspective, I was very, very happy with the guys. I thought they played great. I love Brandon. I'm really excited to see him get into his groove. But yeah, a W is a W, and I don't really like Michigan too much. So I'm very thrilled with I'm thrilled with the game.
More questions for Corey?
Obviously, for health reasons, you decided not to play anymore. How hard of a decision was that to make?
I mean, you've been to Notre Dame. Obviously, you guys are all here now. You know how special it is. It was extremely difficult. I loved my team, and the thought of not putting on the golden helmet again, it's still a hard thing to get over, the fact that I'll never run out of that tunnel and I'll never be able to put on the monogram on the field ever again. But I ended up making the decision, it was best for me and my health, and I'm thankfully the Spirit really gave me a peace with my decision. And like I said, Coach Kelly allowed me to still be a part of the team, which really eased my decision more, after the fact, for him to say, yeah, for sure, you can always be a part of this team, you can be a coach. But yeah, it was the hardest decision probably of my life up to this point. I mean, this place means so much to me.
More questions over here.
Yeah, I'm interested a little bit more about Young ND. Can you expand on any of the ideas that you guys are throwing out there to engage young
Can
Notre
we?
Dame alum?
Okay, we can? Okay, great. I didn't know if it was anything was secret. Because we literally just wrapped up meetings 2 hours ago. So we have a lot of ideas, particularly one of, on a basic level, our job is to aggregate best practices and make sure that we are reaching out to the clubs and saying, hey, as a group of young alumni, we've been able to figure out what works best, what doesn't, and you should try these things out depending on your club size or, your area, region, etc. So some of the ideas on that regard is being able to do basically ACC type schools for smaller clubs, game watches or different young alumni events, because you can't necessarily gain a critical mass when you're a club like the Club of Memphis, for instance. You can do something with the other schools in that area to get more young people there. One of the biggest issues that we've seen is that young people don't want to go to an Indy alumni event unless their friends are going or that they'll know other young people will be there. But it's like a chicken and egg thing because everyone thinks like that. So there are no young people show up. So it's like a recurring thing. So for us, we're trying to figure out ways to do like bring a friend initiatives. Other things on a more macro level is being able to recognize our alumni. So we want to do something with the Domer Dozen. This is a concept of like a 30 under 30, where we recognize 12 of the top Notre Dame alumni under 32 who are in different fields such as faith, service, learning, and other just general work. To be able to give them the platform to redefine success as an alumni from not putting your name on a building, but rather like living up and embodying the Notre Dame values of being a force for good. So those are two of our initiatives, and I think the major force for us is basically teaching a young alumni how to become alumni. Because no one teaches you that. You kind of just graduate and you don't know what to do. So for us, being able to tell people, you can engage in these ways, and here are opportunities for you to get back on campus, to mentor young students in the classroom, to do something with Irish Compass. Like there are many ways for you to get involved and for you to serve your university. So.
We got time for.
Did I answer your question?
We have time for one more question.
Corey, I'm sorry I'm too old to have voted for you when you were president here. Any political aspirations?
No.
Good answer. Okay, Corey, before we let you go, we got to put you on the spot. Give us your score prediction for tomorrow, Notre Dame and Ball State.
Oh, man. I never really played the spreads. I was more of a guy who just said, a win's a win. So hopefully, I never want to underestimate anyone. So I'm going to be very conservative. And I'll just say, I like the way our offense is playing right now. I think they're unstoppable. I haven't seen a lot of tape on Ball State, but I'll say like 21-7, Notre Dame.
All right. Also, I know you told me before we went on that this is actually going to be your first time ever tailgating before a Notre Dame football game.
I've never done any of the fan things, so I don't really know what to do. I was thinking to myself, like, what do people do on Saturdays? I was thinking about just going to the game, but apparently you guys don't do that. Apparently you tailgate or I don't know. So now I'm learning how to be a fan.
So if people see you out there tomorrow, they can give you some pointers and
yeah, give me some pointers. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to play cornhole. I'm very new to tailgating as a concept. So I've never tailgated ever, so it's going to be fun.
All right, well, please join me in thanking the most interesting man in the Notre Dame family, Corey Robinson.
Thank you all so much. Go Irish.